Out of the Cradle, the myth of human evolution, full documentary. In the beginning, there was silence. The earth was young, restless, and scarred. Oceans boiled, skies rained fire, and from the heavens came the stone. Sound of impact, thunder, earth cracking, a fiery explosion fills the screen. They will call it a meteor, a missile from the void. But to the children of tomorrow, it was something more. It was the spark that ended worlds, and the spark that made us possible. Scene shifts, ash deserts, surviving creatures scavenge among smoldering forests. Life did not surrender. Out of ruin, the strong endured. Creatures of claw and tooth gave way, and in hidden valleys, small shadows began to rise on two legs. Not giants, not gods, but the first of our kind. Cut to primal savanna, early hominids gathering around a smoldering branch. They were fragile. Their bones broke easily. Their nights were long with fear, but in their hands they carried the gift no beast could master, the gift of fire. Fire, the missile of the earth itself, now stolen, tamed, and carried. It warmed their children. It drove back the darkness. And with it, they became more than prey. Montage, stone tools breaking, sparks flying, hands shaping rock. From stone, they drew sharpness. From flesh, they drew strength. Each tool was a prayer to survival. Each strike a promise, we will not fade. Cut, vast plains, tribes migrating under endless skies. Then they began to walk. And they did not stop. Step by step, river by river, desert by desert, they left their cradle. Their footprints were the first lines of a story written across the earth. A story not of beasts, but of beings becoming something new. Camera rises, wide aerial shots of Africa, then fades to starlit skies. Some would call them wanderers, others dreamers. But in truth, they were already more. They were the children of fire, the children of stone, the children who would name the stars and ask them questions. Music swells, ancestral chants echo, fade into the first cave paintings glowing in torchlight. And so begins the myth of human evolution. Not merely bones and dust, but belief, memory, and destiny. This is the tale of how we rose. Out of the Cradle. Part 1, the prehistoric missile. Segment 1, fire from the sky. The earth remembers fire. Long ago, a stone descended from the heavens. It struck with the fury of a god, shattering worlds, ending kingdoms of beasts. The dinosaurs fell, and with them an age. But in the ashes, a door opened. A new age of small creatures, fragile, hidden, hungry, began. Among them were the ancestors of us, the ones who would one day lift their eyes to the stars and wonder at the stones that fall. Visual asteroid impact, mammals crawling from the shadows, time lapse of millions of years. Segment 2, the children of ash. They were not yet human. They had no words, no songs, no gods. But they endured. In forests, they learned to climb. On plains, they learned to run. Their hands, once for grasping branches, became tools of survival. The myth tells us the fire that fell from the sky did not kill them. It lived within them. A hidden flame that would one day burn brighter than suns. Visual, early primates evolving, bipedal motion, tools cracking bone carrying fire. Segment 3, the first flame. From thunder, they learned to borrow fire. From lightning, they stole its heart. And in this moment, they ceased to be beasts. For fire is not only warmth. It is memory passed from one hand to another. It is power carried across generations.
It is the first weapon.
A missile no claw nor fang could rival. The myth says fire is alive. It breathes with us. It eats what we feed it. It dies when we neglect it. And so humanity found its first companion, its first spirit ally, the flame. Visual tribe huddled around fire, eyes glowing with reflection. Fade to cave walls flickering with shadows. Segment 4, the wanderers. But fire was not enough. Something stirred deeper, a hunger not of the stomach, but of the horizon. They began to walk. Step by step, they left the forests of Africa. Across rivers, deserts, and mountains, they spread like sparks blown by the wind. The myth remembers them as exiles of Eden, banished from the cradle to seek a new world. In truth, they were pioneers. Every horizon was a question, and every step was an answer. This is how the story begins. With fire in their hands and distance in their hearts.
Part 2, Prehistoric Beliefs. Narration, mythic poetic style, layered with echoing chants, low drums, flute tones, and fire crackle ambience. Segment 1. The World of Shadows. Night fell heavy on the cradle of humanity. The fire burned bright, but beyond its circle, darkness lingered. And in that darkness, shapes moved. They saw the shadows on the cave walls. Shapes of beasts, spirits, ancestors. Some swore the shadows were alive. Others said they were the souls of the dead, whispering through the flicker of flame. And so belief was born, not of proof, but of fear and wonder. Segment 2. The Dream of Bones. The first burials were not accidents. They laid their dead with flowers, with tools, with offerings. Why? Because they believed the journey was not ended, only changed. The myth tells us the earth is a womb. The body returns to it, and from it rises again. The bones are not remains. They are seeds of the soul. Segment 3. The Voice Awakens. And then, one night, something happened. A child made a sound. A word. A word is more than noise. It is power. It names the beast. It calls the hunter. It binds the tribe together. With words, they built memory. With memory, they built story. And with story, they bound themselves to time. The myth says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was fire, carried not in hands, but in breath." Visual, close-up of mouths speaking, chants rising into the night, smoke curling skyward. Segment 4. The shaman-kings. Some rose above the tribe, not because they were the strongest, but because they spoke with shadows, because they dreamed the dreams of beasts, because they listened when no one else could. These were the shamans, the walkers between worlds. They painted visions on stone. They called the rains. They guided the hunters. The people believed them half human, half spirit. And belief gave them power. Power to unite. Power to command. Power to teach the law of survival. The myth says the shaman is a bridge between fire and sky, between flesh and dream. They were the first kings, and their kingdom was belief itself. They had fire in their hands. They had stories in their breath. They had gods in their shadows. Now, the tribes were no longer only survivors. They were believers, and belief gave them strength enough to face a new destiny. For beyond the cradle, beyond the rivers and deserts, lay new lands, new trials, new worlds to conquer. The age of wandering was not over. It was only beginning.